final word in sports all across the state. You're listening to Sports Talk with your hosts, Bill Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. You've been waiting all day. So join the show now by calling 800-956-7266.
We did some really good things. They threw a lot of different things at us in terms of different zones and different looks, and we had to make a lot of plays down the stretch ourselves. And Dante Grantham was great. Certainly the kids made huge free throws for us, and we finally got one or two stops there at the end.
Outside of my first year here, that's by far the worst practice I've ever been associated with in college basketball. And when I told them, I said, here's a great thing. As miserable as I am today, you're probably going to go out there and embarrass yourself in front of a lot of people. That's exactly what happened.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Thursday evening from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, Professor Tom Hayes, 800-956-7266 is our phone number. Email talkback at sportstalksc.com, on Twitter at SportsTalkSC. On YouTube, our channel is SportsTalkSC. You heard from Brad Brownell, happy. You heard from Frank Martin, not happy. Clemson wins 2-0 in the ACC. Louisville coming in on Saturday. Gamecocks lose 0-2 in the SEC. Vanderbilt coming in on Saturday.
It was a bad game last night in Columbia, Corn. And I'll have to say this. I didn't think that this team would be this bad. And you know that Frank Martin wants to say and talk about the elephant in the room. He thought he was going to have P.J. Dozier this year. I think it's evident by looking at what this team is right now and what he expected out of them. Your best player right now is playing in the G League. Your third best player who you expected to be on this team is sitting in New York waiting to enroll in school. Your second best player is Chris Silva, a big man with no help. And your fourth best player is being asked to be your number one or number two offensive option in Frank Booker, and he's not as good enough to be that option. So these guys right now are lost. They can't defend. They can only shoot partially some of the time. And they just played some of the most uninspired basketball last night in front of a group that, honestly, in Missouri is still a work in progress. They got themselves embarrassed against Illinois at the end of December, and they looked about as good as they have in a long time.
Yeah, it was a tough setting last night in Columbia. You had the snow in the lower part of the state from Columbia east, maybe from Sumter east. Nothing happened in Columbia. But anyway, a lot of people stayed home. No students, no band. Cheerleaders were there. It was just not a good setting in terms of the enthusiasm. There was none. Was not much of an atmosphere in the arena. And the Gamecocks, and Martin said in that clip, they had a terrible practice the day before. They played that way in particular in the postgame. He called out David Beatty and said it was the worst practice he'd ever seen anybody have in any level of basketball he's ever coached, including junior varsity high school basketball. It was just bad. And again, it's a team that can't shoot right now. They can't make free throws well. You mentioned Silva. Well, he got into foul trouble. He only played 17 minutes. Imagine if he had played 35 minutes, the numbers he would have had last night. He had good numbers for 17 minutes. And pro defensively, they can't get a stop. Missouri led by 12 at halftime. You got to come out and play defense. What does Missouri do in the second half? They shoot 50%.
Well, hats off to Missouri. This is a team, and Conzo Martin is trying to still change the culture there. This is a team that won a road game in the SEC in about 4 years.
Right.
And so what they did is they took advantage of, they knew they had a wounded team, down two guards, and they shot the lights out early, take whatever crowd enthusiasm away early, and win the basketball game. As I said before, people thought Chris Silva had turned the corner, and I said, wait a minute. The officiating in the postseason is different from the regular season. He still will be in foul trouble when it gets to the regular season. But South Carolina right now, and let's face it, Frank Martin said, remember when he said practice I'm not worried about the score. Well, maybe don't worry about the score there because you're wearing your players out. But the key point is, I think the real thing is when you had the roster put together, they thought Corey Holden would be the guy. And Corey Holden, to me, is the example of a guy that people don't talk about much, Phil, and that's overtrained. I think he built his body up too bulky. He made his muscles tight. That therein lies one of the times of the injury. And people say, well, where do you get that idea from? Remember Darius English when they said put a little weight on him, he'll play. He was sluggish, didn't play. He lost the weight and then had his most effective season when he was at his regular 235 his senior year. So sometimes you can overtrain, and I think that cost Corey Holden some playing time this year.
Well, from the beginning, I guess maybe their best game of the year was at Wofford, because they went out and beat Wofford up there in the first game in that new building, and they looked terrific.
Either
they
that
beat
or
a good team.
The first Western Michigan game too, they looked very good in the second half, especially.
But really, it's sort of been a disjointed effort to this point. They don't have a true point guard.
No,
they don't have a quarterback to run the team. They don't make the extra pass. You look at their assist total, low. That means you're not making the extra pass. A lot of dribbling. A lot of one-on-one play, and it's a season that's starting to get away from them. They get Vanderbilt in Columbia Saturday night, but Vandy's coming off a nice win over Alabama. South Carolina, Tennessee, and Texas A&M are the only 0-2 teams in the league thus far. LSU is 0-1. So be careful or it's going to get away from them. On the other side of the ledger, you've got Clemson continuing to play terrific team basketball. 4 more guys in double figures last night up in Boston. Now, they had a 19-point lead. They went on a 16-0 run, built a 19-point lead, lost it all, turned around, built a 9-point lead, and then held on to win by 4. And, again, they had some guys playing. They've just got – what's happening with Clemson right now, you've got 4 or 5 guys having career years.
Yeah.
Just all playing at the top of their game. And when you have – that many guys like USC had last year.
Right.
I had 3 or 4 guys having career years at the same time. It makes for a great season.
It's the only concern that I have, especially this early in the conference season. You got 4 guys who are logging more than 30 minutes. That is something that's not sustainable over the long girth of a big ACC season. And, you're going to have some games where, like you had against NC State, where you don't have to play Dante Grantham 38 minutes, and you don't have to play Gabe DeVoe 32, and Marquise Reed 37, Shelton Mitchell 36, and you only get a combined what looks like 20 minutes from your bench right now. And David Scarra has half of them because he was in there for 14 minutes. So that'd be the only concern I have. But this is a growth win for them because of the fact that they went up to a very unique atmosphere in the Conte Forum. It's a small building, and you always know, Corn, whenever you get a big lead on the road, the home team is always inevitably going to make a run. And if you can withstand that run, you can win basketball games. And that's why I think this victory for Clemson, probably more than any, shows me that they are at least, I don't want to say they're for real, but it shows me that they can be an NCAA tournament team.
Love to see this team mentally get a win in Chapel Hill. I think they can do it. I think they can do it.
January 16th.
You guys
7
know.
o'clock.
You guys
be tuned in.
Guys that I deal with body language. I want to look at things. Like that.
Really? What's my body saying right now?
I'm worn out. Brad Burnell, I have not seen him so animated as I've seen him this year on the bench, which tells me that he knows he's got something.
He likes him. He really does.
And I think mentally this team can jump over that hurdle. And then part of what they need to jump over that hurdle is to blow this snow out of here and it's cold. But I think this is a team mentally that's strong enough to do it.
When I noticed it. When I noticed it. I noticed it when I was at Tennessee, or when I was at the Tennessee game that they played, the exhibition game, and he was coaching them like that was an NCAA tournament game.
Yes.
And you don't coach exhibition games like that. And to me, he knew that Tennessee was better than they were advertised, and he knew that his team was better than advertised. And it's come to show for both of those teams, despite the fact that Tennessee lost earlier this week.
Will Muschamp press conference tomorrow morning at 10:30.
Tick, 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 tick.
Ostensibly, we think, to name his new offensive coordinator or talk about his staff. The information sheet to us did not say the purpose of the presser.
No.
Just Will Muschamp to talk about his team. So we'll talk about what we think might happen and if that's good or bad or indifferent, and your thoughts on that as well. We'll be right back.
Sports Talk is the sports talk show of Main Street, South Carolina. From the coast to the mountains, we cover it all.
MIZ? And you were very good last night. I was keeping my eye on you. You only smiled a couple of times when the big guy was standing out there hitting that pick and pop. He's pretty good.
He's very good. He's very good. I've seen him play before.
Well, I know you have.
I'm snickering because I've seen not only that guy, and I saw Barnett play in high school too.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, again, it's just it's like when you see your son grow up and start shining on the big stage. That's like what it was.
How good would they be? I'm talking about John Tay Porter. I guess he's the brother.
He is the younger brother of Michael Jr.
19.7 rebounds for him, hitting that outside shot. Cassius Robertson, 23 points. South Carolina, their guards last night, not very good. Booker 1 for 5, Beatty 2 for 11, and am I saying that right? Beatty, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Beatty.
And Myers 5 for 11. Myers gave him a boost, but still, that's a combined 8 for 27. Not what you're looking for out of your guards. Those are the only 3 guards they have. Everybody else they have would be considered big guys, front court guys. So,
except for the tight end, they're playing.
I say your backup 3 wing guy is Evan Hinson right now.
Yeah, who came in and gave them some energy. To say the least.
He's just not in basketball shape right now.
All right, coming up, Mike Morgan on the move at the bottom of the hour, top of hour number 2. South Point High School coach Straight Heron will join us from San Antonio. He is the defensive coordinator for the East team for the Army All-American game that has, 8 Clemson commitments and 1 USC commitment. The Under Armour game is going on now in Orlando. Now, I swear, I'm not a big fan of these National All-Star games, but that's fine. There is nobody in the stands. I mean, seriously, have you seen a shot of the inside of the stadium?
No.
I mean, nobody. I mean, did they sell any tickets to this thing? Plus, it looks cold in Orlando. Well, I guess it is cold because they were de-icing planes at the Orlando International Airport.
That is correct,
this morning.
sir.
It's crazy.
So anyway, that's going on. The Army All-American game will be on Saturday, and
apparently there were iguanas falling from the sky in Florida. That's how cold it is down there.
This is like out of the trees, you mean?
Yeah.
They can't stay in the trees when it's cold?
I guess not.
No,
they're like
they're
stiff.
cold-blooded.
They're
They're
stiff.
reptiles.
They're stiff, yeah. You don't have a backbone. Yeah.
Like they dropping out of the trees dead?
Like they're stiff. They can't move. They don't have any internal body temperature. You can't. It's.
Sorry to hear that.
Did you not take biology when you were at Latta High?
I did. I pithed the frog. You ever pith a frog?
No.
Well, don't talk to me about biology if you've never pithed a frog.
You would dissect one.
Yeah, but it's called pithing, where you take the thing and go through the brain. It's called pithing the frog.
We did dissect the frog.
Well, that's part of dissecting.
No,
it's called pithing.
The
Am I right, Brian? Brian knows. You ever eaten frog legs?
I have.
Yes.
Have you ever eaten?
Tastes like chicken.
Have you ever eaten gator? I had gator when I was in the New
We
Orleans.
had gator cooked right here in this office. Captain Downer brought his deep fryer.
I cease to think that
not only did he bring a deep fryer, he brought a live alligator, and we killed it here in the office. We sacrificed it.
Not stupid.
We smeared its blood on the doorpost, and we deep fried it.
By the way, the first time
it tastes like chicken.
Frog legs, and they were good, was Coney Island.
Get out.
Mm-hmm.
I ate it one time, but I thought it was chicken. I thought it was chicken wings, and it was frog legs. I puked for 2 hours.
I dare to think that you are a more adventurous eater than me. I do not think that you are a more adventurous eater than me.
Okay, we have stalled long enough trying to delay this phone call. Can't wait any longer because we're fair people here on Sports Talk. You call in, you expect to get your 30 seconds of fame. It's Bulldog Bert. I hope he's taking some sort of medication to control himself this week. I don't know if he's going to live to make it to Saturday.
He's still drunk.
I tell you, one stadium is going to sell out.
Yeah.
Mercedes-Benz Dome in Atlanta.
You going to make it there, Bert?
No, actually, I have had some people offer me tickets, and I said, as much as I just don't think I could be in the crowd. I don't want to be a distraction of what's going on.
Bert, I got to ask you. when Sony Michel was being fitted for the goat horns on that scoop and score, what were you doing? What was your disposition at that point? How are you feeling?
Well, I was confident. He had only had, I think, one fumble before then. I just was pulling, for the running game. And I said, just stick to the running game, don't abandon it. And of course, I was awarded because they stayed with it, and that's what won the game. It just, it was a matter of the running game. And for him to go in and score that touchdown, redeeming grace, I mean, that's awesome,
So you saw what Alabama did to Clemson. We all believe Clemson's better than Georgia, but hey, Clemson didn't get there. Georgia did. Give them their credit. So, I mean, seriously, how bad's it going to be? What's the spread? Alabama's favored by what? 21? 3? How bad's it going to be, Bert? It's going to be pretty bad, don't you think? Seriously, you might not want to watch.
You said Alabama's favored by 21?
I'm just guessing, just based on what I've seen.
I have no idea. I was
guessing. What is the actual spread?
It might be 7, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3.5.
Well,
3.5.
3.5.
I told you it was 3.
Yeah.
3.5.
Yeah. I want to ask you a question. Did you actually think that we win the SEC field and beat Auburn in the SEC championship?
You mean going into the season, did I think you would win the SEC?
Well, I know you didn't.
Well, no, in all honesty, if you go back and listen to the tapes, which you can do on our YouTube channel, I picked Georgia to win the East. I thought Georgia would win the East. I just didn't think they'd do it with Jake Fromm at quarterback. I thought it'd be with the other guy. But I knew you had the running backs. I knew you had a great defense, and I knew you had a good offensive line.
I was the idiot who picked Florida, so don't worry about me.
And don't you think Alabama had a chip on their shoulder against Clemson?
Yeah, they had the motivational edge. I mean, they rose to the occasion based on what their players said after the game.
Yeah.
Losing to Clemson the previous year motivated them all off season. Now we'll see what happens with Clemson. I mean, now they have been
humbled,
and we'll see if they use it for their motivation in the offseason to try to get back.
I will say this, Bulldog Bert. I don't think we'll ever see another college team with 2 seasoned senior running backs in the backfield. It's just so happened that the injury here, injury there, red shirt here, and those guys ended up in the same backfield. And I don't think you're going to see that kind of firepower from 2 seniors ever again in the backfield.
But you will agree Swift is probably comparable or equal to them. And he's going to rise to the occasion next year. And we could easily get another running back there.
Yeah, you'll be good at running back. Swift is very, very good. The limited time he got to play. But you got to replace a lot on defense from this year's team. And, I think you look at the East next year. Here comes Muschamp, huh?
Yeah.
Here comes Muschamp, right?
Well, I'm not going.
You got to come. You got to come to Columbia.
I'll talk to you next week about that. I'm just focused on Atlanta right now.
Wow. So give me your score. Give me your pick. What do you think?
Oh, I think we're going to win in a close one.
Shocked.
And it will probably be by field goal. I hope Blankenship can make it.
Yeah. Were you alive when the Bulldogs won in 1980?
Yes, I was. I was a Hershey. That's what really motivated me to pull for Georgia when I was a child.
So you're a front runner like Phil, though.
Yeah, he's a bandwagon guy. Okay, now we know what happened.
Okay.
Well, if
the day I was born, we beat Florida 49-7 in 1971.
But you weren't a fan then. You were a fan in '80. You said.
Oh yeah, I was a fan then. I was as soon as I was delivered, they put me in front of the TV.
You just contradicted yourself, Bert.
If Georgia wins, wouldn't this be the first time that a Muschamp assistant wins over a Saban assistant wins over Saban?
I don't know. I'd have to check the record, but thank you, Bulldog Bert.
I believe, yeah.
Good luck to you and yours on Monday in Atlanta. Gonna be a heck of a ball game, I think.
Chip on their shoulder, by the way, is a senior linebacker for Alabama.
Welcome back into Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a Thursday night from downtown Columbia. Phil Kornbluth, the Professor Tom Hayes, and MIZ.
KEYMOUSE.
Oh, Pelagic.
You keep doing that.
The
all
Missouri
you want,
grad. Proud of his team last night, ladies and gentlemen. He was proud.
I was not
of
proud.
his Tigers.
I was not proud.
From Furman, Clay Hendricks announced today the additions of 3 transfers, including from Clemson, Amir Trapp. Also from Navy, running back Cooper Harden, and from Georgia Southern, defensive end Melton Brown. Brown and Harden have 3 years left, and Trapp will have 2. And they'll be playing at Furman beginning next season. Time now for a visit with Mike Morgan here on Sports Talk. Morgan on the Move, brought to you by Founders Federal Credit Union, where their mortgage team is more equipped than ever to help you with the mortgage process, whether you are buying or refinancing. Visit foundersfcu.com/mortgage to apply today. And by BP Skinner Clothiers, people across the country get their custom-made suits and accessories from Brent Skinner. Very best in suits, shirts, pants, shoes, and more. Right here in the capital city, their showroom in the Vista. Also, if you want Brent to come to you, he'll be happy to do that. For an appointment, go to his website, bpskinnerclothiers.com. Mike's coming to Columbia to do USC Vanderbilt. He'll probably stop by Skinner Clothiers to get a tune-up in the fashion category.
I will. You're not kidding. That's exactly what I do every time now.
Mm-hmm.
He set the bar so high, everything else in the closet's got to go.
Yeah, I've noticed your socks recently could stand a little, fine tuning.
Yeah. Well, the footwear and the socks are never actually on camera, so only you would notice that.
Wow.
Which, quite frankly, is a little disturbing, but that's another story.
Wow.
So you get the Gamecocks on Saturday, and I don't know what you're expecting. They have not played well in a while. They've lost 3 straight games to Division I teams. Had a win over Limestone thrown in there. They're sort of a mixed bag of things right now, Mike.
Well, they are. If you remember, I had the win over Coastal, and that certainly didn't come easy. They really had to battle, and that came down to the final shot. Certainly Coastal could have won it. It's a team that is still finding itself. I think Frank's been very adamant. And it was this when we visited with him back 3 weeks ago, and he reiterated it last night. I saw on your Twitter the quotes from Frank, and basically talking about the lack of leadership. And I think that's something that he's just going to have to battle through, because I don't know right now who is a leader from the guard spot. Even if Silva's a leader, and I'm not so sure that he is, that's not really his strength. But you need guards that are leaders. That was the strength of last year's team, is that you had 3 guards, and you had a couple that were pretty vocal, and obviously Thornwell led the way in that department. I'm not sure if Hassani Gravett is an SEC point guard yet. I mean, he still has some things to prove to me, and that's something that they're really fighting through right now. So it's a team that you hope that the finished product will be better than what it is now. Certainly Frank hopes that, but that remains to be seen. They'll be tested very early and often by Vanderbilt, team that's coming off a win over Alabama, team that everybody seems to be in love with this year. Vanderbilt, it's the same story. When they shoot the ball well, they can beat anybody, and when they don't, they can lose to anybody. So I think it's a very winnable game for South Carolina, but you're going to have to play better than what you showed the last couple of games.
I hate to harp on who's not there, Mike, but this is a team that expected to have PJ Dozier. At least Frank built this team, at least in a way that he expected to have PJ Dozier and Rack Felder. You have neither, and what you have left is kind of a lot of glaring weaknesses in leadership. I mean, does Frank, I guess, have to take some of the blame of that, and the fact that he just was left with an unprepared group and almost an unfettered group?
Does he get a pass? Do you give him a pass?
No. You're a coach.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I'd say give a pass, but I would say that anybody that's going to be hypercritical over a guy that led a program that's done virtually nothing in the postseason for 40 years to a Final Four, I certainly I think that gives him a little bit of stock, a little bit of equity. So if you want to say, well, the recruiting should have been better the last few years, there shouldn't have been a precipitous drop off from a Final Four appearance to what potentially could be now, you can make that argument. But anybody that's overly critical of Frank Martin, I think you're really reaching. The guy put the program on the map. The program has been floundering for decades, and he did something that will be remembered 100 years from now. So, yeah, I certainly believe he gets some credit for that. It doesn't make other people feel better. You would like to think things would have turned out better. You know, the Dozier thing, I've been outspoken about that. I never fault the kid for leaving early. What is he making? $300,000 on a 2-way contract. That's $300,000 more than he would have had if he stayed another year. Personally, I think he got bad advice. I think if he stayed one more year, he would have been an instant millionaire and would have had a game that would have allowed himself to play in the NBA instead of in the G League. But that's ancient history. You can't control that. You just got to do the best with what you have.
You almost think he had the fear of that knee injury he had maybe recurring, and maybe that made him make the leap. Mike, the shock, I've been looking at SEC basketball, and the shock came the other day. The way Auburn systematically dismantled Tennessee and Knoxville. I didn't see that coming.
I didn't see it coming to the extent that they did. It's not surprising to me, having seen Auburn in person this year, that is a team that no one, for whatever reason, was talking about in November, December, and maybe the first few days of January. But now they're on notice. Right now, I mean, they're a tournament team. There's a lot of games to be played, but even without the two kids that were suspended, and I'm not sure if they're ever going to get them back, they still have athletes after athlete after athlete. They're playing Bruce Pearl basketball, the kind of ball that he was able to play at Tennessee, the kind of ball he has not been able to really play at Auburn because he hasn't had the athletes or the numbers. He does have that now. So I think Auburn could beat just about anybody in this league. The question with them is, will they be consistent? Last year they could score, but they didn't want to defend anybody. It looked like they were just disinterested in playing defense. Now they're actually D'ing up, and Tennessee saw that firsthand. And Tennessee's a very good team, no doubt about it. I still think they're a tournament team. But, yeah, they got shocked at home, no question about it.
Let's talk Clemson, because they go up to Boston College. They win there. They're 2-0 in league play. Louisville at home, noon on Saturday, and 13-1 is very impressive. When do we start really – I mean, the RPI is very good. Is it time now to really start taking Clemson seriously in terms of the NCAA tournament and thinking they're going to be a player this year in the postseason, a la USC last season?
Absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it. They just snuck in at least one of the top 25 polls, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to keep up with as many as there are. Their RPI should be in good shape. Look, what they have is balance. I don't know if they have a guy on that team that's going to be first team all ACC or even second team. But they've got 4 or 5 guys that are averaging double figures, different guys that can beat you on any given night, and they play very well together. And Brad Brownell has always been a good coach. I don't think that's ever been debated. The question has been, Brad Brownell, the recruiter, can he ever get enough talent to Clemson to really be a true player in a very loaded league more often than not in the ACC?
Yeah.
This year, I think he's answering those questions.
Well, I mean, January 20th, Zion Williamson's announcing. There's people out there who think Clemson is going to get him. I think right now more people who follow college basketball recruiting than not thinks he's going to land at Clemson.
You would know much more about that than me. I mean, to me, that's kind of shocking. I can't remember the last time Clemson landed that caliber of recruit. Even the last few McDonald's All-Americans that stayed in state wound up going to South Carolina, whether it was Dozier or Mackey
probably
or
Milton Jennings, probably the last
Milton
one.
Jennings, yeah, that's right.
From Pinewood
he never
Prep.
really panned out.
Yeah.
I don't think this kid's a different level player than Milton Jennings. I mean, Zion Williamson is going to be a stud wherever he goes. There's not all McDonald's All-Americans are built the same. This kid is a freak who is going to be a ridiculous impact player for the 1 year that he does play in college.
All right, hang on. We'll come back and get your thoughts on the national championship game. I almost said SEC championship
Basically
game.
what it is.
Kind of the same thing, yeah. Get your thoughts on that, and then we'll do recruiting in just a couple of moments.
The guys are always checking email. Send your comments or questions to talkback@sportstalksc.com. Now, more of Sports Talk from Columbia's Main Street.
Back we are, Sports Talk. We remind you to check out foundersfcu.com. Learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Mike Morgan on the move. Back with us here on Sports Talk. All right, so one more college football game to go. Monday night in Atlanta. You going to go? You got tickets? You got a pass? You going?
I've had plenty of people ask me for tickets, to which I've had to reply, no, I don't have tickets lying around. I think they're going for about 2,000 a pop. No, I'm actually going to just stay back, sit back, watch it on a high def, enjoy it, and just take it all in. I've got some friends that went to the semifinals, both games actually. There's a lot of Georgia fans here and a lot of Alabama fans here, as you can imagine. But it's going to be nuts just to get in there. It's jam-packed. Everybody wants to get a ticket. You got two schools that are separated by less than 300 miles. And I think we're looking at a great matchup. The only question will be, will it have enough scoring to keep everybody's interest on a national level? I don't see the kind of game that we saw in the Rose Bowl, that's for sure. The points will be more at a premium. But I think Georgia can certainly play with them. I would take Alabama a slight edge because of the Saban factor and because of the fact that Georgia hasn't been there, but I think we're looking at a terrific matchup.
Not to throw anybody under the bus, Mike, but there were some people from the four-letter who were sitting there on the sidelines at the Sugar Bowl, front-facing talent who weren't really doing anything on the sidelines. You could be one of those guys.
Well, I would volunteer for that, actually, but no, I will not be one of those with a badge just standing around shaking hands. That's not really my style. If I'm at a game and I'm not working, like literally calling it, I get kind of antsy. So I need to either be calling the game or I need to be watching it on a TV, but not just standing around doing nothing.
Your opinion quickly: SEC all final, bad for the championship game or good?
You know, I'm glad you asked that. I mean, it's one of those things. We've gotten to the point now where you have people that cover the sport of college football, I'm talking nationally now, that are affiliated with a network that is affiliated with a conference. And it almost seems like a line has been drawn in the sand where the Fox guys pull for the Big Ten and Pac-12 and hate the SEC. And then everybody, I think, is somewhat paranoid that the ESPN folks, many of whom are not tied into the SEC at all, are somehow biased toward the Southeastern Conference. That paranoia has existed for years. I think what's good for college football is the top two teams. These are the top two teams. Is it going to have a record ratings number? No, because you don't have the geographical balance. You don't have somebody from the Midwest like an Ohio State or California with a Southern Cal. But we can't just produce matchups that are just good for television or ratings. We have to find out an equitable way to determine a national championship. And I think this is by far and away the best way we've done it in the history of the sport. Is it perfect? No, but it's the best thing we've had. I certainly would take it over the BCS or the Bowl Alliance or anything else that we've had in 100 years.
How would you write the postscript on the 2017 Clemson football season?
Well, I think still very good. I mean, look, how many of us, when they lost to Sean Watson, thought that they were going to be able to win another national championship?
None of us.
That kid was as valuable to his team as any player in college football. The fact that they went as far as they did, quite frankly, surprised me. I would have taken that bet. So if you're Dabo Swinney and company, you have nothing to hang your head about. They got there with a new quarterback. They were just overmatched by an Alabama team that had a veteran quarterback, at least a 2-year starter, and an Alabama team that was tired of hearing they didn't belong in the playoff, tired of hearing that they lost to Clemson the year before. All those psychological and intangible factors scared me enough to pick Alabama in the game.
All right, so do you think we should leave it at 4? Do you foresee an expansion to 8? I will say that when all this playoff stuff, the talk started, all the playoff people pushing for it said, no, just give us 4. Just give us 4. We'll be happy with that. That'll end all the controversy, all the discussion, and we'll take the 4 and we'll be happy. Well, you know, you're not keeping your mouth shut and you're not happy because now you want 8, as I predicted would be the case. If not 8, then even 16. And I mean, how much more football are we going to throw on everybody? How much more are we going to diminish the bowl games that they are already diminished to the level where nobody is showing up for the bowl games that aren't in the playoffs or the traditional New Year's Day bowl games. What do you think? What do you think ESPN will do? Because ESPN controls it and will determine what happens.
Well, you're certainly right on that. TV money in general controls what happens in college football. Look, I think at some point, not anytime soon, everything moves at a glacial pace in college football, as we know. At some point, we will have 6 or 8, but that's not going to be in the next 3, 4, 5 years. That's not until this deal is up that'll even be discussed. It's going to take some major controversies, and quite frankly, with all the belly aching that we've had this past year with Ohio State, I didn't even think it was that controversial. Mm-hmm. So you're going to need to give me something a little bit better than that, a little more scandalous than that, to be convinced that we have to expand. I've always said 6 or 8 is fine by me, but in a way, 4 it does keep the importance of the regular season. You mentioned the importance of the bowl game. Bowl game attendance was down long before this playoff because the Outback Bowl or the Citrus Bowl or the GalleryFurniture.com Bowl are important to 3 groups: the fans of those particular schools, gamblers, and people that just are sitting around that have nothing else to do on that particular day in December.
I'm not even sure it's important to the fans of the schools anymore. I mean, look, USC and Michigan, I was at the Outback Bowl, and it was a pretty sparse crowd. I know that the weather in Tampa the day of the game killed any sort of a walk-up from the neutral fan. But in terms of Gamecock and Wolverine fans who made the trip, not big numbers.
But you're judging it on attendance. And I would say to you, that's not the way to judge them anymore, because how many South Carolina and Michigan fans that weren't there were not watching it on television? Very few. The fact of the matter is, today's college football fan, many of them decided a while ago they'd rather see a game on TV in the comfort of their own home, where they don't have to wait in a bathroom line or spend $12 on a beer, than go to the game itself. So a lot of those bowl games are showing up half empty.
Yeah, I get that. So, I mean,
and regular season games for that matter.
What are we going to do with these 80,000 seat stadiums? I mean, college football going to face what NASCAR is facing when they overbuilt the racetracks, and now you have half empty racetracks. I mean, they still might have 75, 80,000 in a place that seats 150.
Well, I don't think we're knocking on the door of the apocalypse just yet. Overall, teams in the SEC and major programs in the ACC do very well in attendance. Okay, they're not completely empty, but the day and age where you could just chalk it down, sell out no matter what, even if you have a mediocre product on the field, I think that those days are dwindling away. And as ticket prices have gone up, a lot of fans have said, no, thank you, I'll just stay at home and watch it on TV.
I think you're exactly right about that. Okay. And did you give us a winner? Did you give us a pick? I think you said you liked Alabama, right?
I would give Alabama the edge.
Yeah.
I had Alabama and Oklahoma in the final. Oklahoma, I'm still not sure what Lincoln Riley was doing with his play calling in those overtimes, but I think look, Georgia's a great story. I've been high on Georgia all year long. I thought they were the one team that could beat anybody from the West. But I still think I give Alabama the edge just based on experience in this type of game.
Yeah. Who you like in the Army All-American game on Saturday? The East or the West?
I'm going with the East. East Coast bias all the way.
Yeah, it's got more Clemson and USC influence. Mike, thank you, and we'll see you in Columbia this weekend. Come by and say hello. Good, I'll be up there in the media section looking at your socks.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Mike Morgan on the move with us here on Sports Talk. When we come back, we will talk about that Army All-American game in San Antonio. Coach Straight Heron from
Straight No Chaser.
That's right. From South Point, who's coaching the defense for the East. We'll catch up with him. Then we'll do recruiting. On the other side of that, I've got a ton of recruiting that I've been sitting on here for a while, so we'll get to all that. And we'll talk about USC and the OC situation, perhaps to be resolved tomorrow.
Round 2 of Sports Talk up next with your hosts Phil Kornbluth, Will Pelagic, and the Professor Tom Hayes. Don't leave us hanging. Join the show, 800-956-7266.
Okay, we continue Sports Talk on this Thursday night from downtown Columbia. Hope everybody is warming up and thawing out. Still not a snowflake in Columbia.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's
Thank you.
good. I mean, I hate it for the people down in Charleston and Beaufort and all that part of the state. I guess they're still having to dig out and deal with the icy conditions, but we haven't had a thing.
Terrible.
Yeah, it's just weird the way this thing has worked out. Let's head out to San Antonio, Texas. They're not worrying about the snow there. That is the home of the U.S. Army All-American football game coming up on Saturday. One of the coaches coaching on the East squad handling the defense is Straight Heron, head coach at South Point High School. And he joins us here on Sports Talk. Coach, good evening. How are you?
Hey, Phil, doing well, man.
How's everything in San Antone?
It's great. It's great. We had the cold weather on Monday and Tuesday, but it broke today. It was a great day. First day we went out practicing. It was absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. Where are you guys practicing?
On Monday and Tuesday, because it was so cold, they put us in the Alamo Dome, and then today it's called Hero Stadium. I think it's kind of like a public stadium they have down here. Really, really nice. But we'll be back there tomorrow. It was great, though.
Very good. Now, this game has a South Carolina, heavy South Carolina connection. A lot of Clemson commitments are there. I think one USC commitment is there as well. You've got a couple of kids in the game. How has the group related to our teams here in our state, how's that group look to you?
They are exactly comparable to all the other guys, and you know, the talent level down here is just off the charts. And but DK is doing very, very well. We hope we're going to be able to get the ball to him. And BT's having a little bit of a struggle just because he's having to kick a different type of ball. But I think he'll be fine by Saturday. But those guys are doing well. And then, of course, you know, there's a lot of other ones. You know, Dak Hollifield is played at Shelby High School. Of course, we played against them this year, and I'm coaching him with my linebacker crew. So, and he is just an unbelievable talent. So, a lot of good stuff. Also, the other Channing Tyndall from Spring Valley.
Yep.
Great kid, man. Just an absolutely great kid and fun to coach and a heck of an athlete.
How's Dax Holifield's shoulder, Coach?
He seems to be fine. He hasn't said anything about it at all. So I think he's 100%. And like I said, this week he hasn't shown any signs that, you know, he's maybe not going to be able to go. As a matter of fact, I haven't heard anybody say a word about it.
Yeah, how about Channing Tyndall's shoulder? Because he set out the Shrine Bowl. Is he okay?
Yes, he seems to be fine too. And that's one of the things that's great about what we're doing. We're not beating them up, and you know, that's a good thing to kind of save it all for Saturday. Now we've hit a little bit, and it's fun to watch them going. So these guys are full tilt, and you know, they look like our 2008 team on defense. So pretty good. It's fun. It's fun to coach for sure.
Any special rules in this football game that we normally don't see in a regular football game?
Yes, and the big difference for defense is that you can only play cover 3 or cover 0.
Oh, come on.
And then when you get on 3rd or 4th down, you have to be in cover 0. So the offense knows what you're going to be in. But that's part of the game. It's coaching it. You try to find little tweaks that you can do here or there, still stay within the rules and do what you do. But, you know, there's no blitzing. So that's, you know, as soon as I read that, I was like, all right, play cover 0, but no blitzing. That's going to be a lot of fun. But from a defensive side, but, you know, they want teams to score points. They want it to be exciting. And, you know, of course, we're still going to, defensively, we're going to try for a shutout.
I know it's not your side of the football, but you're practicing against him. What does Josh Vann look like, the wide receiver from Tucker, Georgia?
Yeah, he's very good, especially when you have somebody like Trevor Lawrence throwing it to you. Those guys are very fast, speedy guys, and they know how to get open, and it's hard to cover them, because especially with the limitations that you have, because those guys they get going, and you want to try to stay on top, but then at the same time when they break it off, they're open, and so we throw it, we catch it, and once you get the ball in their hands out in space, you gotta watch out. Talking
with Coach Straight Heron from South Point, coaching the defense on the East team for the U.S. Army All-American game. Early in the week, I saw some stuff about Josh Belk doing extremely well. What have you seen from him, the defensive lineman who was headed to Clemson?
Yeah, that was part of the thing coming in. Was not that we questioned whether or not he could do it. Just, was he coming from a 1A school? Would he be comparable as far as practice? And you got to think on a daily basis, day in, day out, he probably isn't having to put forth the effort because he's such a great athlete. But coming down here, he got off the very first practice. As soon as it was over, the defensive line coach, who was Roland Smith, coaches in Florida, he said, "Man, that Josh Belk is good. He's a good one. I'm pretty sure he's going to start Saturday."
Who's the one player you haven't seen before that you're most excited to be able to coach in this game?
I would say Shane Simon, and right off the top of my head, I can't tell you where he's from.
Jersey City, New Jersey.
That's it, Jersey. Yep. And he's just such a super kid that just he talks so well, and he's so thankful to be out here. But then at the same time, he plays extremely hard. And what I really love about him is that he likes to be coached and he wants to learn. And he just and then of course once you get him lined up and he gets ready to play, he can get to the football so quick. So he's been a shocker, or not a shocker. He's been a guy that once you look at the roster, you don't know any of these guys. You hear about maybe what school they're at or something like that. But he's been a guy that I was just like, man, it's fun coaching him.
Have you had to coach up Xavier Thomas very much?
Not really coach him up. He's out there. He's going to start at defensive line. I think we're going to announce today or tomorrow, tonight or tomorrow, that he's going to be one of the team captains because he's done such a great job, and he's working really hard. And again, one of those kids that just knows how to talk to people and does things extremely well. So, but just that great kid. That's part of the thing that I've really been impressed about being down here. You wonder coming in coaching these kind of kids that you might run into the kid that don't want to be taught, don't want to be coached. And it seems like it's always a fight or an argument, and these guys are nothing like that. They've been extremely respectful and just super kids.
All right, last thing, got about a minute. So, okay. Trevor Lawrence, you're watching Trevor Lawrence from a defensive standpoint. What do you see there?
Tall kid that can see and can run, throws a beautiful pass. His throws are incredible. The guy's arm is so strong. The biggest thing I'm concerned about, and I know our offensive coordinator also is worried about, is that yesterday he was sick. He had they filled him up with Tamiflu, kept him in his room, and got him some extra sleep. He did practice today and looked great, so I think he'll be fine. But of course, he's going to be a little under the weather. So, but just a great, and that's another good sign for him. He didn't, even though he's sick, he came out and practiced. So, great kid.
Hey, we thank you so much for joining us. Go out and have some good Tex-Mex tonight or something.
Yes, sir. We're on our way to eat right now.
All right.
Hey, game's at 12 o'clock NBC on Saturday.
We're going to be looking for you.
Yes, sir, man. Appreciate it, Phil.
Thank you. Okay, that is Coach Straight Heron from South Point, straight from San Antonio. One of the announcements on Saturday will be Brendan Radley-Hiles, defensive back from Bradenton, Florida, IMG Academy, Clemson, in the mix for him. Third quarter announcement for him.
This is the place to talk Tigers, Gamecocks, and more. Sports talk across the state on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Back we are, Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network. Remind you to check out foundersfcu.com and learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Sitting here talking about Dax Holyfield, that was an excellent question that you came up with on your own to ask about Holy.
Well, you had to fight you to ask it.
But anyway,
we both had the same idea. You know, it's possible
that's scary
that a lot of your thoughts might not be original thoughts. Just saying.
They're the best thoughts.
I think
They're the best thoughts. They're
it
the
is
deepest thoughts.
possible that
But
somebody can have the same thought.
Pro here during the timeout
Very
in our never-ending discussions here during our timeouts had a very poignant. I said poignant. Poignant point.
No, I think it's pointed in this case. Poignant has
Make your
to do with
point.
the emotion.
Make your point.
No, I was saying that when we saw the recruiting violations, the minor recruiting violations, one of the things that
Against USC.
Yeah, against USC, South Carolina agreed that they would stop recruiting a player that they had worked out illegally.
Mm-hmm.
So we were trying to think, who could that be, and why would they stop recruiting a linebacker of the caliber of Dax Hollifield? Maybe Dax Hollifield was the guy they stopped recruiting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the thing that's in the Committee on Infractions statement is that apparently one of the assistant coach from South Carolina in question apparently knew the head coach at the offending high school because I guess that he had been close by and he'd been a high school coach in the area for about 25 years. And who does that point you to?
Well, I think Bobby Bentley was recruiting Holyfield for South Carolina. I think that was his recruiter of record. I'll go back here and check real quick. I think that's – and he coached, of course, at Burns. Burns is about, what, 50 miles from Shelby?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Spell his name right here. Holy.
Yep, he was. He was his recruiter.
Holyfield. Yeah, Bentley and Bentley for Clemson.
Yep.
Bentley was his recruiter of record. So very good take by you there. For that could answer the question right there, perhaps. Who knows? But it makes sense. It kind of fits. All right, while we're talking that, let's go ahead and do some recruiting. First recruiting report of the new year, because
ding.
Monday we were busy with the Gamecocks and the Tigers and the games. Tuesday we were busy trying to get back here. Wednesday we had it ready to go, but we got so busy. And now tonight is what? Thursday. So it's Throwback Thursday recruiting style here on Sports Talk.
Thursday.
Offensive lineman Dylan Wanham of Tucker, Georgia, who's playing in the Under Armour game. How's he look so far? Has he missed any blocks?
I haven't watched.
Has he lost a star? Gained a star? Perhaps?
Put a star by that one.
Anyway, not signing until February 7th. His only official that is down in January is Auburn on the 12th. He also plans officials to USC, LSU, and Tennessee. Receiver Justin Ross, also in the Under Armour game. Has he gained a star? Lost a star? He said no leader. Some have thought Clemson. He said no leader. Taking officials to Florida January 12th, Alabama the 19th, and Auburn the 26th. Already been to Clemson. Alabama commitment linebacker Quay Walker, also playing in the Under Armour game. His four officials coming up: Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, and Auburn. USC had been trying to get an official from him. 3 Gamecock commitments are in this game: J.C. Horn, Hank Manos, and Rosendo Lewis. Clemson commitment K.J. Henry also is in the game. Clemson targets in the game are defensive back Matthew Hill, as well as Ross. We mentioned offensive lineman Richard Gurridge and offensive lineman Nicholas Petit-Free. Clemson has 8 commitments in the Army game: Josh Belk, Jackson Carman, Darian Kendrick, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Maskell, Kyler McMichael, B.T. Potter, Xavier Thomas, and USC has Josh Vann. And Clemson targets in the Army game, we mentioned Dax Holyfield, defensive back Leon O'Neal, defensive back Brendan Radley Hiles, defensive back Pat Surtain. They have interest in offensive lineman William Barnes. And also in the game, Spring Valley linebacker Channing Tindall, a Georgia signee, Nation forward place kicker Skylar DeLong, a Tennessee signee. USC offered a preferred walk-on spot to Chapin wide receiver Xavion Gordon. Clemson and USC offered 2018 defensive back DJ Brown of Washington. He's a Virginia commitment. Clemson also offered 2018 defensive back Olajah Griffin, Mission Viejo, California. He's a former UCLA commitment. Offensive lineman Richard Gurridge of Tampa, we mentioned a moment ago. Florida commitments. He's looking at Clemson and Auburn for visits in January. Receiver Cam Rice of Gaffney is headed to Georgia Military Junior College. In basketball, 6'4", Jermaine Cousinard of Montverde Prep in Florida made an official at USC that ended today. He was at the game last night, returned to Florida this morning. USC offered on the visit, joins Bradley as his offers. And, he said that they told him that they like to play 2-point guard so they can get the ball up the court and run, which is his game. And so he said the decision won't be long. He's going to talk things over with his mother. No date for a decision, really no favorite in his mind, and just going to go with the program that he thinks he will fit best in. He's a native of East Chicago, Indiana. Last night, Zion Williamson announced that January 20th will be his announcement date. He took officials to North Carolina, Kentucky, Kansas, and Duke, and unofficials to Clemson and USC. 6'3", Trey McGowans was at Clemson Saturday for the NC State game. Clemson offered 2020 6'6" shooting guard Brandon Boston of Norcross, Georgia. And USC today got a baseball commitment from 2018 catcher Luke Berryhill of Walter State Junior College in Tennessee. Started his career at Georgia Southern. And there you go with recruiting up to the moment here on Sports Talk. Check it out on our website, SportsTalkSC.com. On Twitter, use the hashtag STRecruiting. We go to Scott in Pelion. Get a caller up on the air. We got a special guest coming up at the bottom of the hour. Hopefully guest, but at least one. Scott, how are you?
Doing pretty good, Phil. How are you?
Good.
The reason I called, I was trying to find out about Taylor Hearn from Clemson.
Yes.
He's supposed to be going to the pros or something.
Yes.
Him and some more boys from Carolina or something. Yeah. Scott Moore and Gaten Hurst or something. And I was trying to find out about them boys.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Appreciate the phone call. Yeah, Taylor Hearn is hoping to get to the NFL. I mean, he's giving up his final year of eligibility at Clemson, I guess with the idea of trying to get to the NFL.
Yes.
I don't know if anybody thinks he's a big-time NFL prospect by any means. I'm not sure if he's considered a draftable guy or a free agent type. Sky Moore, of course, his eligibility is up, so he's not leaving early. Hayden Hurst is leaving a year early at South Carolina, but he's an older guy, having played minor league baseball for 2 years in the Pirate system. So he's about 25 years old, so he needs to get on down the road from an age standpoint, so he's leaving. But there's several others at Clemson, and I'm not sure of anybody else at South Carolina that you would put on that list of possibly leaving early. But Clemson's got several guys in that junior class or that third-year category who can consider leaving early, but they have not yet made their decision.
Quick scan of mock drafts for Taylor Hearn, around 5 to 7 possibly in the rounds.
Okay,
so
good for him.
He actually could possibly stick on something.
Good for him. And thank you for the phone call. We appreciate it very much. All right, a break is coming up. And on the other side, we'll have a special guest. I just want to put it that way.
Oh, you're going to tease it?
That's just teasing. Special guest, somebody that I'm sure you're dying to hear from, okay? And I'm sure he's dying to talk to you. So that'll be coming up after the bottom of the hour break here on Sports Talk. So don't you go away. And we'll have time perhaps for some more phone calls as well. 800-956-7266 is the number. Back in a moment.
The big guys are up next. Corey Miller and Will Merritt. It's the M&M Boys. This is Sports Talk.
Well, you knew that we had to get to this at some point this week, coming off the Alabama-Clemson game.
Y'all gonna do your boy bad, man.
It's the M&M Boys with Corey Miller and Will Merritt. Good to have them with us tonight, and appreciate them showing up, willing to talk about Alabama's win over Clemson. Let's begin. Hang on a second, Corey. Going to begin with Will because I want to get his thoughts first about Clemson and, well, the Tigers just getting beaten down by Alabama. Will, what'd you think of the game? Hello, Will. Hello, Will. Corey, Will's not with us. He didn't show up. Neither did Clemson.
Oh,
I guess he's just following the lead of the Tigers.
But not showing up, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Phil, you had me so animated last week when I was picking up my brand new set of Titleist golf clubs. A good friend ordered for me for Christmas, and you got me fired up about this ball game. And I left Alabama, was with some coaches a couple of weeks ago, so we had some deep conversations. First thing I said to them was, we have to win this game, and I said we in this moment because I said if Clemson win, I'm probably going to have to leave town. I just can't deal with it. So, and my wife's not ready to move. So take care of business. And the thing they told me, Corn Blue, they said, don't worry. We got it. And so they played some really good football.
They were confident. They were confident going back last week, huh?
They really were. I knew what was brewing down there. I knew what the practices were like. I mean, they were extremely inspired. This was a game they wanted last year. I mean, these guys had several of them with the screenshot of last year's score. They didn't finish. I mean, they felt like, we won 80-something plays and really shut this offense down. And in the last 20-something, we gave up 3 touchdowns. And he's been preaching, not finishing. But what added fuel to that fire was the fact that the national media, they should have been in the playoffs. They had played nobody. So that they didn't want to just win the game. They weren't happy with that. It was about making a statement that they felt like they are one of the best, if not the best, football team in the country. And that's why you saw that at the end of the game, they were determined not to let Clemson get in the end zone.
Just from me.
And so, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. Finish, Corey. I'm sorry. Thought you were.
I was finished. I was finished.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, speaking to your point, just from being down there and being with the teams, it seemed like Clemson was very loose and Alabama was very, very tight. And I think Clemson was almost too loose and Alabama was tight because they were thinking about business and Clemson wasn't. How do you feel?
Well, exactly. I mean, that was the deal the whole week. This is business. We're not here for all the bowl extravaganzas and everything. It was about we're coming here to prove a point and make a statement about Alabama football. And, it's like the disrespect that the media had shown them, the thing that they were 11-1. Yeah, they had a bad football game against Auburn, but that was not the snapshot that who they were. And they had to prove that. I mean, because people were thinking Clemson was a better team. Every analyst that I've listened to on the radio, to TV, Clemson is a better team and what they can and cannot do. So they had a chip on their shoulder. I mean, I was at the hotel the night before, and I'm telling you, I felt calm about it. That's why when I was with you guys last week, I told you, I demonstrated what happens when high tide comes in. I demonstrated. And this is going to be a high tide game, fellas. And it was the ultimate, go get that switch off the tree. And I'm going to work. Like my mom said, go get that limb basically off that tree, Phil Corn Blue, and you get ready to get a beat down. You talk too much, you talking back, you're disrespectful, like Will Bear has been all year long. And I've been telling him that this team has some flaws. I've been telling him that, and it finally came to fruition. I mean, God is a good God. How about that?
There you go. Let me check Will's line one more time. Can we dial up Will real quick? Let's see. What do we have? Yeah.
Wow, man.
It's awfully quiet. Awfully quiet coming from the upstate.
Pastor, you have to be a little benevolent, but I thought Alabama, and that little pick play to Payne, the defensive lineman was sending a message.
It was such a great message. I'm glad you saw that. the pros, because that was like, hey, you know what? This happened to us last year. How's it feel, right? No call there because it was an obvious pick play. I'm not going to do like Clemson. Oh, man, it was legal. It was a pick play. I mean, he basically blocked the guy. But you know what? Sometimes things come back to bite you, Mr. Hunter Renfro. I mean, so it was just amazing. It was amazing. I was just enjoying. I don't know if you saw my Facebook. I was doing the cheer with the band, and I was proud because this has been on me for a long time because, you know, talking to folks on the radio, just listening to all of this Clemson, and how great they are. They're a really good football team. I don't want to disrespect them. But I knew the offensive line had issues, and when Alabama was healthy, that's why I kept saying to you guys, the snapshot that you want is that defense that you saw against Florida State when they were healthy. And now they swarmed, they flew around, they hit people hard. That was what you were going to see. And I knew Clemson would not be able to run the football on them. That D-line, they were talking about Clemson, the best D-line. Guess what? Who was the best D-line on Monday night? I think it was, with these, right? Alabama was a lot better than what those guys showed. So, I mean, you know, it was a great win. Of course, business is not finished, but hopefully they can go down and get one of them. Georgia's going to be a tough football game.
So, okay, so Alabama used the loss to Clemson in 2017 in that game as a major motivation for this 2017 season. Now 2018, Clemson loses. So, I mean, look, Clemson's still going to have a ton of talent and got more talent coming in. And they got the big-time quarterback coming in, and Kelly Bryant's back. What do you think this loss is going to do to Clemson in the long run? Will it motivate them all season to get them back in the Final Four as it did Alabama, or is this going to lead to some shakeup at Clemson with the new people coming in, especially the new quarterback?
I think the one going to lead to some shakeup. I mean, because now the fans are really upset. I was kind of surprised how they voiced their displeasure, if you will, with Kelly Bryant. I mean, a lot of fans turned on him that quick. But now everybody's looking to the savior. Here's this kid coming in who broke all of Deshaun Watson high school records, and he's going to be our starter. He's going to be able to throw the ball. And, you know, we don't know, Phil, how good this kid is going to be, Trevor Lawrence. You don't know till they get on campus and when he's going against great competition. He may be great. Maybe he's not. You know, what's going to happen to those other guys? Are they going to transfer? Somebody's going to be gone. You're going to face some of that. Best believe that. But I think it will be motivation. But here's the thing for Clemson, like that, I can say, hey, we're going to be back. Because the ACC is terrible. And if you look at what they got, nobody's going to compete with them in the Atlantic. Jimbo's gone. They're starting over. Who else is going to beat them on their side in the division in the Atlantic? Nobody. So they're going to go through that. And then the only hope is Miami running on the coastal side that they get better and be able to challenge them. So Clemson can say with confidence they got probably a better chance than anybody of getting back to the college football playoff. Absolutely, they're using the motivation, but you know they're going to lose some guys. So they're going to have to play a little bit. I think they need a bigger running back that can take pounding, not those speed guys. You know, they got the offensive line's going to have to get better. If you're going to beat the Alabamas consistently, you better be able to win the trenches consistently.
All right, Pastor Payne, what are we going to hear from Will Muschamp tomorrow morning when he speaks at 10:30?
Well, what I've been saying, I think I pretty much known all along that Brian McClendon will be the next offensive coordinator for South Carolina. And kudos to him, his adjustments in the second half of that ball game. I think if you win Muschamp, you can't afford to lose this guy. Great coach and a great recruiter. And you know where he's great at, guys? Yeah, he has a handprint in the state of Georgia. And you got to be big in the Georgia. Will Muschamp knows that. I think we saw some things from him in that game in the second half. It's not fair to really judge him all the way because, you know, you didn't have much time to prepare. You still got to implement your system. But I think if you look at it, you see some things, you go, I kind of like that. Look at that second half and see some of the things, the tempo, let's sped things up. Let Jake throw the ball down the field to some of those playmakers, wide receivers showing, hey, we can be big time. Rico Dowdle back helping. And if you can get and recruit and keep Debo Samuel here, I think South Carolina's making some noise. I'm with them. I can see a championship coming, Columbia.
You got time to hang for a few more minutes?
Sure, man. I love you fellas, man. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, absolutely. And we love you too, Pastor. Even when you get a little crazy on us, we still love you. Hang on, and we'll come back in just a moment. I don't think Will's going to pop up anytime, is he?
Yes, he is.
You think so? We'll try him one more time after the break.
He's going to do the Bob Knight on you. Who said I wasn't coming?
Yeah. All right, we'll be right back with a little bit more from the Pastor of Pain.
These guys, they never sleep. Check them out on the web at SportsTalkSC.com. Now, more of Sports Talk on the South Carolina Radio Network.
Okay, we're back. Sports Talk, South Carolina Radio Network on a chilly Thursday night from downtown Columbia. Back to the Pastor of Pain in just a moment. Reminder for you to check out foundersfcu.com. You can learn how they can assist you in all of your financial needs. Corey Miller, television host, former USC linebacker, former New York Giants linebacker, Minnesota Viking linebacker for a cup of coffee, right?
Yeah, they gave me 3 cups.
Three cups.
That's about it.
3 cups
But
of
right
coffee.
now, I'm a Vikings fan, because the Giants are at home eating popcorn. At least the Vikings got a chance.
Indeed, indeed. Are you going to make it to the national championship game along with President Trump on Monday?
Yeah, man. So, you see all the long lines and, all the turmoil, it will be me.
Yeah.
Showing up. Yeah, I'm leaving on Saturday and looking forward to it. And, which is a blessing, honestly, for Christian to be a chance to play in his 3rd national championship game in 4 years and a chance to win 2 of them. And of course, for a dad who never won anything at Paisley or South Carolina Giants. But so one of those will come into Dad's property. So just know that.
Just don't order a steak because if you get crumbs, it'll be cooked well done,
Oh, I got you.
You there? You there? You don't get a lot of my jokes.
I really don't because they just don't make a lot of sense to me.
That one made sense.
Jokes that make me laugh, I get.
Make you think. I make you think.
Now, back to McClendon at South Carolina, and I know you're in favor of it and you think it's a great hire and all that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying it's not. I mean, I think that time will tell, like anything else. I mean, people thought Kurt Roper would be a great hire. I mean, you hit and you miss when you hire coordinators. I mean, personally, I thought Muschamp should have gone outside the program and hired a guy who's got an offense. I mean, I'm thinking about what saved Dabo Swinney's bacon at Clemson more than anything else. And that was hiring Chad Morris, who went and got Deshaun Watson, brought in the perfect offense, built it up with the personnel, and away they went. And I'm wondering if maybe he shouldn't have done that. Really, maybe he couldn't find the right guy outside who has his own offense to come in and do it. So, you could have still kept McClendon on the staff, made him associate head coach, assistant head coach, bump up his money. I mean, people were all up about this Tennessee thing. I never got the feeling he was leaving to go to Tennessee or anywhere else because I always felt that South Carolina was going to meet him up financially.
That job was going to be offered to him. And that's coming from people, my source in Alabama. Because when I mentioned Brian McClendon, and one thing that was said, if he doesn't get this OC job, that he's headed to Tennessee. It was a no-brainer. So I can tell you that is confirmed information from way up top. Just put it that way. So that was going to happen. And again, who's to say that he can't? As you said, time will tell. But who's to say that he can't become the next great offensive mind? I look at what he did filling in as interim coach for Mark Richt. They ended up winning that bowl game. He's a great recruiter, and the players love him. And I've talked to several players that are ecstatic about him calling plays. He's going to maximize their potential. He's going to run an offense that's going to get the ball in the hands of his playmakers. They're going to speed up some things. And from what I'm hearing down there, the players are 150% behind him becoming a DLC.
Level with me, though, Corey. I don't think that that Carolina is just, a coordinator away from becoming an explosive offense. They need some players. They need some offensive linemen. I don't know if this an installation of a new mind, especially if it's a mind under the previous regime, is as much of a quick fix as if anything.
Well, yeah, they still got to work in other areas, and like the offensive line, right? We saw that being exposed against Michigan. You got to get better there. They feel like they got some good offensive young linemen coming in with Campbell and Manos, those guys, and it's going to take some work. But listen, man, all the players that had hurt this year, they won 9 games. And we can look at them and say easily they could have been at 11 wins. Kentucky, Texas A&M, they had leads in both those ball games. And
true.
The job that they have done, this coaching staff, that they develop, they can recruit, and they got the right attitude, and they got Ray Tanner's backing to give him everything he needs from facilities to recruiting budget. You know, they're going to win. And the fact that Clemson is doing so well, it's going to help this. I think South Carolina out tremendously, because people are sick and tired of looking at the upstate and all the attention, and South Carolina's like the redhead step kid. So that's going to change. So I think they got the right makeup, the right build, the right guy, and Will Muschamp. Listen, I like him. I was a fan when they hired him. I was a fan of him at Florida. Matter of fact, Christian committed to him until we found out he was going to be gone. He got the right pieces together, and if they get BMAC and give him a chance, I think we're all going to be impressed by what he does.
Well, I mean, just on the side, Corey, looking at a young guy like Brian McClendon, he seems to be the type guy that is comfortable in saying that he doesn't know everything. And
right.
His staff sits in here and at a young age realizes that if you're going to maximize the assistants, you got to listen to some of their ideas. And one of the best offensive minds in that room is Bobby Bentley. And I thought in the second half with the adjustments and the way Bobby had his son relax, and whoever the quarterback is, I thought just from that standpoint, you could see that there was some communication and maybe some chemistry developing in those two men.
Yeah, I think you got plenty of offensive minds, and I think that was the issue with Roper. You know, not willing to change, not willing to make adjustments. I mean, how many times we looked at this stupid inside zone read? I mean, it's like, what are you doing? And Will Muschamp called it, saying, you know, whatever you're doing. So, you know, these guys are open. And by making this move, guys, look at the analyst position, because these are key. You look at Alabama, you look at Auburn and Georgia now with Kirby Smart, Dabo Swinney. These offensive analyst positions are huge. So I think you can put them BMAC there, McClendon there, and bring in the analysts also with a sharp pencil mind and a play calling mind that's going to help as well. Even though he may have a title, I think you're right. It may be by committee overall.
All right, got about a minute. Who do you think he'll hire for his 10th assistant? Any idea?
You know, I'm going to throw a name out there that may sound crazy. I think BMAC is the OC. I think Bobby Bentley stays coaching the quarterback, and Marcus Lattimore decides to come and coach the running back.
It's still down one guy. It still
one guy.
It would still need a 10th assistant.
So, yeah, because they got to replace Roper. So if they're not bringing in another OC, you hire Lattimore. That gets you to 9. So you still have one more.
One. I'm not sure. I think they should bring me in. You know, if they want to solidify things and, you know, help them with the media and have outbursts and rage and get them crunk up, then I would be your guy.
That'd be you, huh? Coaching line. You're going to – how about coach special teams?
Yeah, I could do that too. I mean, because I'm going to have some kamikazes around busting people up, Corn Blue. You know what I'm talking about. You felt the wrath of this hand in your chest.
I have met the forearm, but you have to admit now, you met some resistance when that forearm met my chest. There was some resistance. There wasn't there was no caving there.
Your man breasts over there.
Be looking at my body like that.
I could be like Dabo right after the game and tell the Tiger Net folks and these little camera guys and little website dudes to follow me around while I hug and pray with my players, and make sure you put that out there, because it's all about recruiting for Dabo. He's the master. He's the master.
You don't think that was wait a minute, come on. You don't think that was genuine? Seriously, that's genuine.
You know, be genuine and tell them to turn the cameras off. Let me love on my players. Don't have some dude running behind you with a cell phone and then putting it on his website. That takes away the genuineness of it, if it's genuine. It becomes like a show when I'm praying with my guys and hugging them, and they got a camera following around the locker room. So the locker room, let it be the sanctity of that locker room. Leave it outside. Leave the media outside, and then do your thing. Don't be show. Don't be a show.
Pastor of Pain, congratulations to you and Christian and your Alabama folks. Good luck on Monday. Thank you for being with us.
We loved Will's contribution.
I appreciate you guys having me, man.
And thank you, Will Merritt, yes, for your contributions as well. Crickets. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow.